In these angles.
I know.
This is awesome.
I'm petite. I wear heels, but it doesn't help when I'm sitting down.
Giant in the middle.
All right, so just making sure that we're far enough away from that licensed music so when I edit this.
No licensed music was used in this production.
No,
Please don't come after us.
So, welcome to Indifferently Depraved Book Club. We are a podcast that focuses on true crime or crime fiction, and if you are into that, you're going to like it. If you're not into that, you might like it because we're really cute and funny. So,
yeah, we are. I like it anyway.
All right. So, let's cheers. Cheers to Michelle McNamara and her wonderful book, I'll Be Going in the Dark.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Fuck that douche.
Mm-hmm.
Caught him.
Douchebag.
James Joseph D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer. What a momentous day.
He's a cop.
A cop. You fuck. All cops are bastards. Fuck the police.
Fuck the police. Fuck the police.
All right. So, we're a book club. So,
if you can't tell,
that means we read books. Today's selection, would you like to go ahead and present that to us, Carlita? Oh, shit. Actually, we should introduce ourselves before we introduce the selection.
We are professionals.
Yes.
No,
okay.
we're not.
Not
so,
at all.
I know most of you are probably adoring fans, and you have our pictures that you've printed off Instagram and taped to the back of your bedroom door. And
if you're not, why haven't you?
But I'm Penny Maple.
I'm Carla Workman.
And I am Nancy Bell.
All right. So, our selection this time is Robert Bloch's Psycho. Did you know that Psycho was a book before it was a film?
No.
No.
It was actually written the year before the movie was produced, so the success of the book really, that should tell you something. I don't know how many of you are into noir, crime noir. It's my favorite. I fucking love it. Every bit of it. So good. Hard Case Crime does a whole revival series of noir fiction like this, and I can't get enough of it. Cannot. So what did you girls think of this book?
I loved it.
I also love it, and I love the film.
So that's 3 people up here saying that this book is
3 thumbs
amazing.
up.
3 thumbs up. So good. All right. So who has never seen Psycho? Can I see a show of hands?
They probably don't want to admit it.
So we have 4 lonely hands. You've never seen Psycho?
Oh, you poor things.
I feel like it's so ubiquitous, but you know what it is because it's permeated the very fabric of pop culture, right?
That shower scene, baby.
Yes. That violin. So good.
Not in the book, by the way.
No, there's no violins in the book because you can't hear them.
No. But there totally should be.
I think that if you haven't seen Psycho, you definitely need to watch it. A few years ago, I took my 16-year-old sister-in-law and I sat her down. You know, teenagers don't like anything. It blew her fucking mind. It's still, she was speechless at the end. Do you all know the twist? Even those of you who haven't seen it, you know the twist,
Who
right?
doesn't know the twist?
Well,
spoiler alert.
Spoilers are coming up, so fucking deal with it because this is
Congratulations.
a book review. So we're going to pick it apart. It's not like
his mom's not really there.
You've had 30 years to see this movie, so shouldn't be spoilers at this point.
It's on you at this point.
It's on you.
Do you remember in middle school when you do book reports and everybody would get up there and be like, and if you want to know what the end is, you have to read it yourself. That's not what a review is, motherfucker.
No.
You have to talk about the end.
Yeah.
The end, the denouement. It is important to talk about the structure of the book and the overall effectiveness of the book.
Exactly.
But anyways.
And his creepiness.
All right.
Oh, God.
Well, Carlita, why don't you take it away? Set it up for us.
Me?
Where are we? Where are we?
We're at the Bates Motel with Norman Bates and his mother.
And the film and the book both do this confusing thing. And I think that's why it's so successful, is because it does a whole lot of bait and switch.
Yes,
the book even more so
yeah,
than
the
the
book
movie,
was ridiculous.
I think.
Yes.
Really pretends that it's his mom.
Well, and that's, you know, me and my boyfriend are reading it and together, and what was crazy for both of us was going through and him talking about his mom, but both of us know the twist to it. So we're like, oh my God, there's so many signs that lead up to it.
Oh, but
Your mom's a skeleton, Norman.
I want to talk about the first twist, is that you think it's Mary Crane's story.
Yeah, there's that.
In the film.
No, even in the book to a degree.
The book to a sense, yeah.
But certainly in the film, because the film begins with her, you know, in a little bit racier than the book. But you begin the story, and you think that you are watching this story about. In the book, it's Mary Crane. In the film, it's Marion Crane. But here's this young woman. She's desperate to get married. She and her lover cannot marry because of money. So it's, you know, that sad kind of situation where she's a 27-year-old spinster and she's all washed up.
Bless her poor little heart.
60s.
God love her.
It's so incredibly sexist. It's just like, she's just like, oh God.
If I don't get married by 30, what will I be?
Life is just passing me by.
I might as well just go get a bunch of cats if I ain't married by 30.
You'll be us, Marion. You're right to be afraid.
Yes, Marion.
Yes,
Run,
Be scared. Be
run
very
to
scared.
Sam.
Run away, Marion.
So yeah, she steals money.
$40,000.
$40,000.
Her employer is some sort of real estate broker, and this big Texas oil guy shows up and throws down a big old envelope full of cash on a Friday evening, and she says, oh, okay, yeah, I'll drop this at the bank. I've got a terrible headache, so I'm just not going to come back this evening. And she runs for the hills with her fucking money.
Take the money and run.
Like
That's what
the
we should have come
wind.
out to. I mean, not that we use copyrighted music in this performance.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I
don't know what
I heard
I'm
no
talking about.
copyrighted music.
So she runs, and she's so fucking smart at being a criminal, she runs straight to her boyfriend's house. But before she can get there...
But he lives like 5,000 miles away because she's 27 and undesirable.
And she is a criminal mastermind.
She met
Because
him-
nobody would think that she would run to the boyfriend.
Oh, that is twist number one.
Twist
That
number
is twist
one.
number one. She says, oh my God, what have I done? I need to take this money back. But does she take the money back?
We'll get to that, because that's a beautiful moment. So many twists.
Well, it's only chapter 2. When are we going to get to it?
Well, after we're done with chapter 1. So she's going to see her boyfriend with this pocket full of stolen money that is going to pay all his debts off magically. And
Yes, that's chapter 2 also.
But he's going to marry her, and no one's ever going to connect them to the fucking money.
Because who hasn't pressured a man to marry them?
But before she gets there, there's this whole thing about the new highway. And the new highway has ruined everybody's fucking life.
That's why Norman's a loser. Not
Fuck
because he
the
wants to
hi-
have sex with his mom.
No, not at all. Fuck the highways. It's all their fault.
The new highway came through and it diverted all the traffic from the Bates Motel, so now they are a floundering institution on the brink of collapse, which is just fine with him because he'd rather sit around and read all these grotesque stories about developing nations.
He prefers to not have customers and to have time dedicated to his fascination with squirrels.
And reading about the Inca Indians.
Yes, the book opens with a passage of him reading about a victory dance that is performed by taking the enemy.
Oh, can I share it from the book, please?
Yes,
Because that was like
you
one of
may.
my favorite
You may.
passages ever.
Go ahead and
if I
find
can
that.
find
That part.
You too,
So
go ahead.
the highway also works to ruin Marion Crane's life because she had visited town before the new highway came in, and now she comes back in on the wrong side of the tracks. She's tired, she's exhausted, she's desperate, she's a criminal, and she pulls up to the Bates Motel because among all of her many feminine sins, as addition to greed,
Is being a bad driver?
it's vanity. She wants to take a shower and look hot when she shows up to see her boyfriend with $40,000 stolen dollars.
She's a spinster, vain, bad driver.
A thief.
He's great at writing a woman, let me tell you.
I know, this
he's
very
amazing.
sympathetic treatment of this.
But I still love the book, I don't care.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay. So, here's a selection from the book that really just, I mean, we're only literally on page 10, and this drew me into the entire book. Like, this set the whole tone for me. It was The Realm of the Incas by Victor W. von Hagen, and Norman had never before encountered such a wealth of curious information. For example, this description of the Quechua, or victory dance, where the warriors formed a great circle, moving and writhing like a snake. He read, the drum beat for this was usually performed on what had been the body of an enemy.
The snake, original sin.
The skin had been flayed and the belly stretched to form a drum, and the whole body acted as a sound box while throbbings came out of the open mouth.
I love it.
Grotesque, but effective. That sent shivers down my spine when I read it the first time. Like, I was amazed by that.
If you didn't know where you were, you knew then. So.
Yeah, and the film opens differently. The film opens with Marion stealing the money and escaping.
Well, it actually opens with her having a nooner with her dude, which in the book.
And then taking the money
in
and
the
escaping.
book, it is very explicit to at least say that she is a good girl in that
She's
respect.
a virgin.
She wants the hump.
Hitchcock doesn't do virgins, though.
But her
He's not into
her
that.
husband
No.
to be says
That's not a thing.
her husband to be is like no, because she says like no amount of verbal or physical exhortations could convince him to marry her early. So she's just foaming at the mouth. She's just like she wants that dick.
So
And she's like, I guess I can wait till I'm 30. That's when a woman's reaches her full sexuality.
A dick and a diamond, that's what every woman wants.
Exactly.
I don't even want to talk about that. I want to talk about the human drum.
The human drum. And also, the human drum was played by a crone, wasn't it? It was specified that it was played by an old crone.
Uh-huh.
So we have a virgin, we have a
Oh, yeah.
crone.
It's great.
We're going through all the really...
It's
yeah.
amazing.
All those, the 3 stages of women. What's the other one? Oh, a mother. Hey.
Trifecta.
Trifecta. So Marion Crane pulls into the Bates Motel and...
Whoops.
Whoopsie.
Uh-oh.
Whoopsie.
So, since we like true crime, who does that old human drum make you think of, everybody?
Repurposing body parts for household objects.
He's a craftsman, Penny, okay? He's a craftsman.
An artisan.
Oh, yeah, artisan. It's 2018.
What-
He's an artisan.
Wait, no, what do they call it? Primitives.
Oh, he's pretty primitive.
He's very primitive.
Talking about Ed Gein, of course.
The Butcher of Plainfield. Fun fact, Robert Bloch, the author of this book, he wrote this book 30 miles away from the Gein farmstead. And he actually claimed, I'm like, do you expect me to believe this shit? He said that he started writing this around the same time that all that shit went down at the Gein household. And he's like, I had no idea. Once I finished the book, I was surprised at how many coincidences there were.
Hey, do you smell that? Do you smell it?
Yeah, I do.
Because I kind of smell some bullshit.
Sounds like a lot of bullshit. Okay, that's fine, Robert Bloch. If you ever read any of his interviews, he's kind of a pompous ass. But he's a writer, so that's to be expected. They're allowed.
No shit.
No shit. Anyways.
You can be a pompous ass when you write one of the definitive books of the genre, though.
yeah.
You
Knock
kinda
yourself
earn
the
that
fuck
right.
out.
You're like,
Penny, is
you
it
know,
possible
I
for
really
you to roll your eyes
invented it.
any harder than you just did? Is it possible?
I probably could because the gravitational center of the earth didn't
Gotcha.
change.
Gotcha.
But anyways,
Gotcha.
no, Robert Bloch, I actually, of all the noir that I like to read, I do like Donald Westlake and some other titles. James Ellroy, one of the new noir authors, fantastic. For some reason, I thought that I hated Robert Bloch. But when I read this, I was like, I fucking love this. I must have been thinking about somebody else. He's fantastic. Everything he's written that I've read is amazing. He actually wrote sequels to this, Psycho 2 and Psycho House, which have nothing to do with the films, because there's Psycho 2, Psycho 3, Psycho 4, Psycho 5000. I don't fucking know.
probably-
Shout
At
out
this
to
point-
Josh Sapp, who requested a mention of Psycho 2.
Psycho 2 is awesome. I like all the installations of the Psycho films. I do. And I think that he's kind of an overlooked, horror.
Who wants to bring me
Villain.
another Jack and Coke?
Yeah, I need another Mick Ultra.
Excuse
somebody
me.
Could, I have a tab. If somebody could just.
I mean,
bring
if
me
we're at it,
my
like
throat's
woodchuck
dry.
would be wonderful.
And a woodchuck, please.
Yeah,
woodchuck? That'd
Yeah.
be great.
All right.
How much chuck could a woodchuck chuck? All right, so Marion pulls up to the Bates Motel, and everything goes about as well as you'd expect visiting somebody that's inspired by Ed Gein. He takes her up to the house, he gives her a sandwich, he shows her his stuffed squirrels. He wants to show her the basement where he stuffs his squirrels.
She's like, nah, I'm good on the basement, dog.
No, I'm good, thanks.
I'm good. I'm just going to go.
Go back to my room, far
Can I just-
away from
Can I just
your
go
fat
shower
weird
and lock
ass.
my door? That'd be great.
Yeah, I just need to shower with the locked door, please.
So,
I feel like I need a shower after this encounter.
Oh,
Please.
Thank you.
Oh, you are
You are
lovely.
beautiful,
You are
angel.
beautiful.
Melanie is an angel on
Oh,
earth.
you're
She's
such an angel,
all
love.
the time. When you're holding a
Oh.
drink for me, it's even more
Can we
beautiful.
get a round of applause over here?
She also donated some great items to the raffle tonight, guys. We didn't even mention the raffle yet.
That makes her
You should
definitely
be
an
giving
angel.
all your money to our friends
Melanie
to win those
is
great
an
prizes.
artisan. She artisaned
Just like Ed Gein.
some things.
You don't want to know what that pillow's made out of, though.
No, you really
She's
don't.
an artisan and a vet
We
tech. Draw your own
We're
conclusions.
going to talk about Marion's epiphany. She goes back to her room. She sits down on the bed and she thinks real hard about that crazy weird fucker up at the house.
Oh, okay, here we are. Now I'm here.
Yeah. So,
And we're back.
take it away, Carla.
And we're back. Okay, you can steal my drink and I'll steal the mic. All right, so
Smooth as fuck.
that's what I like. The first twist that I referred to earlier, now it's time. Mary, whoever she is, every woman, decides, you know, I was really wrong to steal this money. I'm going to take it back in the morning.
Well, she also was like, I don't want to end up like that sad, weird fucker up there.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to end up like Norman. Not even Norman, the source of the rage.
Bless his little heart.
I like that the book actually devotes a couple sentences to say, if she were a praying person, she would have prayed. But she didn't pray.
No, she got naked instead.
No, instead she stripped in front of a mirror, shook her hips at herself. Meanwhile, there's a crack in the plaster.
Norman's
Oh, this is my
watching.
favorite.
There's a crack in the plaster, and she's in the room right beside the motel office. So there's old Normie peeking through, and he's convinced that this is a secret message just to him.
Oh yeah, she's shaking her shit just for
Like when you
him.
post a nude selfie on Instagram, right? They're like,
Yes.
that's for me.
And like 30 people were like, she's directing that at me.
What up, girl?
Oh, yeah, I see you.
Hey,
Well,
baby, how
this
you doing?
is the 1968 equivalent to that, to What Up Girl in the DMs. He's watching her.
So
He
speaking
has
of,
a pre-drilled hole, so he watches everyone.
This is the equivalent to dick pics on Tinder.
Ah, yes.
so speaking of 1960 something, the psychology of this book doesn't quite hold up to what we know to be true now, but we're going to go with the
Why
whole,
not?
You just got to suspend reality. It's multiple, dissociative identity, whatever.
I think it's pretty real.
Yeah.
Everyone goes a little crazy sometimes.
So things get
Oh my
wavy. Things get wavy with Norman, and he's drinking, and his vision's wavy, and he's looking at a naked girl, and he can't see straight, but she's looking at him, and then suddenly he's gone.
Whoops.
Blacks out. Bye-bye.
He's just blacked out drunk.
Norman's gone. Mommy's here.
And here's Mommy, and Mommy does not like that girl shaking her hips in the mirror at her
That's
boy.
dirty and filthy. And ladies do not do those kinds
That
of
is
things.
also exactly how Ed Gein's mom was.
Yes.
Exactly how she was.
Oh, but this book wasn't based on Ed Gein.
Oh,
What are you
that's
talking about?
right.
He
It was
didn't know
written
anything about Ed
concurrently.
Gein.
I
What are you
forgot.
talking about?
It was just, he just...
What a coincidence.
That's crazy.
It's like the magnetic field, just pure osmosis, just that he absorbed this information from the universe. Ed Gein, let's give a rundown of Ed Gein real quick.
Oh,
I would
can we
love to.
please?
So Ed Gein grew up with a puritanical, controlling mother,
Like Norman.
and as he aged, he became, how would you describe it? Enthralled?
He wanted to bang his mom.
Enthralled is probably a good word. Strong Oedipus complex
He was
there.
enthralled.
It was enthralled.
Yeah.
Wanted to bang his mom,
We'll go with that.
but
Wanted to bang his mom.
she wasn't down with that.
But she doesn't think anyone should bang anyone.
So
Very confusing.
I personally think his first murder was his brother. His brother died in a fire, like a forest fire.
We'll never know.
I think I know. He probably saw his brother as rivalry for his mother's affection. That's what I see. Do you not?
I think he killed his brother. I think it's very likely he killed more than the two people and his brother, because pretty much he was caught for the one murder. She worked as a hardware store clerk. And he went in there to purchase something and then just like killed her and dragged her away. His name was on the receipt ledger. Everybody knew he was there.
He didn't
That's
even
how he
try.
got caught. And so he was on trial for that murder. And then they were talking about the murder charge, and he blurted out the name of the other victim.
Well,
So it's really unreliable how many people he actually killed. He was too crazy.
the problem
to
is
for
that he was
anybody to ever
also
know.
a grave robber, and his home was
Yeah.
filled
Yeah.
with human body parts.
I believe he exhumed more corpses, and he was so small that when he first said that, the police didn't believe him. They were like, "You killed all these people. There is no way that your 5'5" ass can dig up a grave, drag the body away, put the coffin back in, and rebury it in one night." And they took him to the grave site and dug the coffin up. There wasn't a body in it. So there was a crowbar.
Yes.
Ed Gein gives my 5'5"
And then they knew he was telling
asshole
the truth. I think Ed Gein's #1. I know you said it's Dahmer. I think he's contemporary. I think Ed Gein is like the pop culture monster in everybody's mind. I think the psycho legend, the making the stuff out of the body parts. Well, he's so creepy. He's the first big creeper.
Yes, I will absolutely.
On the scene.
I will absolutely concede that that was a revelation for people. This grizzled, dopey farmer, ineffectual-looking man, suddenly in the 50s, he killed people, trussed them up like deer, split them in half, and he robbed innumerable graves, made cereal bowls out of skulls, and he had a box of vulvas.
Box of vulvas.
He had a belt made out of nipples. I mean,
Belt of nipples.
this is in the 50s.
Who doesn't have a nipple belt these
He took
days?
a woman's face and stretched it into a lampshade.
Ed Gein is my hero.
So, and he had no inspiration. That's just points for creativity right there. So,
He wasn't copying anyone. He was a pioneer of the times.
Robert
was
Bloch
original
wasn't copying anybody.
as fuck.
Robert Bloch wasn't copying anybody.
No.
We don't
anybody
use
who
copyrighted
says so,
material,
we
and
will-
this book is not
Hey.
based on Ed Gein.
These three ladies, we are going to fuck up anybody who says he was copying Ed Gein. I'm just saying.
I won't,
It's a
because he
warning.
was.
So, Norman disappears. Mother appears.
Yes, Mother.
The infamous shower scene.
Mother
There's a
did.
wonderful book called The Monstrous Feminine, and it talks about like all the ways that femininity in women are interpreted in horror films. And the shower and the bath, they represent the womb. She's made this decision to return the money, to repent of her sin. She goes into the womb. It's a cleansing place for her to be reborn.
Too little, too late, you filthy whore. That's what
Exactly.
Norman's mom says.
Nuh-uh, bitch. We can't have that filthiness.
But it's
I saw you winking at my son
You're
in the
gonna
mirror
corrupt-
through the hole that he drilled in
You
the
were
wall.
going to corrupt my precious boy.
And not just the stabbing that you see in the cutaways in the film. She's decapitated. So Norman comes to and cleans up Mother's mess, and Mother goes out into the swamps for a walkabout.
Because who doesn't go on a walkabout at the swamps? It's
Mom's
a
in the
lovely
swamp
destination.
again.
The cognitive dissonance should be overwhelming at this point.
Mom's a swamp rat.
So Marion's sister comes to town to talk to Sam Loomis, the boyfriend. And who else comes to town is this PI named Arbogast, who is hired by her employer's firm. He has to find her, prosecute her, and find her guilty so that her employer can get a payout for the money that was stolen.
Well, he
or
works for the
whatever.
insurance agency too,
Yeah.
and they don't want to bring the police in, they don't want to call the cops because they're trying to avoid any kind of messiness, any kind of embarrassment on
Criminal
the firm,
time for her.
Criminal time, and he even tells them if we can find your sister and she just returns the money, then we don't have to call the authorities. Maybe we can just drop everything. Everything will be fine. Yeah, well.
This is all a terrible mistake, obviously.
Oh, nobody.
Let's go visit Norman and not call the cops.
Hey, let's go call Norman, shall we? Let's call on Norman.
So the PI is hot on the trail. He's actually a damn good PI. He locates the Bates Motel, and he sees Mother Bates sitting up in the window. And he talks to Norman, and Norman says, "No, my mother's very ill. You must not disturb her. She needs to rest." Because in Norman's mind, his mother is crazy. She's a crazy killer. I've got to protect her. I love my mother.
If they find her, they'll take her away because she's a nutcase, and now she's killed this lady.
She's a murderess, but by God, she's my mom, and I gotta
Not
save
me,
her.
Did you get the impression that this had happened before?
Yes.
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 So that swamp is probably full of a lot of Studebakers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Full of whores.
There's a
All
lot of
the
whore
whores
cars
go
in
to the
that swamp,
swamps.
basically. So many whores have visited the motel and been murdered.
So they chase down this convoluted trap, and they eventually figure out that Arbogast, he gets the old slice and dice, and into the swamp Arbogast goes. And
See ya.
It should be quite clear to Norman at this point that things are not going to work out for him, but he still holds out hope.
Bless his precious, innocent little heart. You know, I kind of feel bad for Norman.
He's an anti-hero.
He really kind of is. Bless his heart. Like, I feel, I don't know. I don't know if it's the psych degree. I don't know what it is, but it's the mental illness part. It just kind of makes me...
It's not just that, Nan. I think that it's also because we're women and we're trained by society to just feel pity for ineffective little men.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I think he's more sympathetic in the book than in the film.
Because I remember a section.
I think it's a lot sexier in the film than the book.
Yeah. Like, while he's watching her, like, he keeps trying to think of this word that his mother kept using, and the word that he's trying to think of is impotent. That she said he was impotent, and he was this, and he was this, and I just feel so bad. Like, bless his heart. I don't know why, but I feel guilty for the man.
You feel bad for people who are abused as children until they rape or kill somebody as an adult, and then you kind of stop.
Well, yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's how, like, I'm a little less, like, fire and brimstone than a lot of true crime fans. Like, you know, people are really pumped about the Lena Lunsford verdict. I'm like, she can burn in hell. I'm like, well, hell doesn't exist. And they're like, well, I hope she gets her ass kicked in prison. I'm like, it won't really do anything. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point.
I'm sorry. I hope that bitch gets shivved in the kidney.
Yeah.
But that's just me as a mother.
I think the mom murderers are a really, really, really strange class of people.
Susan Smith.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what I would do if I was a mom.
Oh, definitely.
So maybe
Let me
that's
tell
where
ya,
my sympathy comes into play.
I
don't feel sorry
mom.
for Norman Bates. I'm like, Susan Smith, I hear you, dog.
Trust me,
Gotta
I'm a
shut
mother.
those kids up.
Yeah. My child will be 11 in July, and there are times I don't know how he has survived his 10 years on this earth. I've wanted to kill him.
Nan, it's probably the prison food, the thought of the prison food.
You know, that really kind of does it because I love food.
I do love
so
food.
much.
If
I just can't.
If I couldn't get Taco Bell whenever I fucking wanted.
No, I mean, I get it. Like, I can get it to a certain degree. Like, I had postpartum depression after I had my son, and I understand how that can affect somebody. I get it, but at the same time, I never once took that out on my child.
I just don't. There's a difference between postpartum depression and there's a thing called postpartum psychosis.
Well, and there is. And mine was just depression. I didn't have the psychosis, thank God.
There are some heartbreaking cases of women that had psychosis, and it just did not work out for them.
I don't know. Like, I've seen what abuse can do to a child, and I've seen, like, even just verbal abuse can do to a child, and I don't know. I kind of want to kill people that hurt
and the
kids.
thing about that is it's cyclical, and that's what we're talking about here. You know, you feel sorry for children, but if they grow up and then they start to, you know, take on the role of someone who is abusive, they have to be held accountable for that. People have to face that. It's hard.
Babies never shut up. They shit everywhere.
Yes.
It's your life for 3 years.
They get in your bedside drawer and look at your porn.
They steal cheese out of your fridge and put it on your nightstand.
I'd drive him into a lake. See ya.
I would, yeah. I would break down and do that. And that's why my tubes are tied. Anyways.
We're not moms.
We're not moms. So we're not.
Nor should we be.
Oh, there's no more babies in my life.
No.
My boyfriend has a 2-year-old, and that's as close to a baby as I'm going to get in my life.
I've got 3 cats, and that is delightful. Anyways, so back to, I love that it's Norman and Norma Bates. Like,
Who does that?
Could the Oedipus complex be any stronger?
She's a part of him.
You know,
But that's a really good structure in the book.
I think
he
she
came
did
up
that.
with that, even if he copied Ed Gein.
He did that shit on purpose. Because you don't see me naming my child some male equivalent of Nancy. I don't even know what the fuck that would be, but you don't see that shit happening.
But
I don't understand.
you do see it happening in men. Men name their children after them. She didn't have a man in the household. Norman's father left, so she was the parent.
Well, but I thought that Norman's father left after he was born, so
there were probably clues.
So he may have had some hand in the naming of this child, and I'm sorry, but I know how it was with my ex-husband in naming our child. His middle name had to be the exact same thing as my ex-husband's middle name. I can't really see Norman's dad being like, oh yeah, let's name him Norman, because that sounds like your name.
Well, considering he left, I don't think he cared. But anyway,
fuck him.
Let's get back to the book.
In the TV show, Norman killed him. I like that.
Yes.
I kind of enjoy that.
Because he would have killed him. It would have been like
Spoilers,
literal.
I haven't made it that far.
Okay.
Well,
it's been out for 3 years. So
I know, that's my
should have watched
fault.
it by now.
That's my fault.
So Norman not only did that, but when his mother had a lover that was interested and she wanted to remarry, this is the point, this is the crux of the story, is that Norman became overwhelmed with rage and jealousy at the idea of his mother remarrying. So he fixed them up. a celebratory dinner, some coffee, mixed with some brandy, mixed with some arsenic. And he killed,
important ingredient.
And he killed them both.
Yay, strychnine.
Because that's what they're going to fucking get. And it worked. Everyone believed it, that they committed suicide, and poor Norman's on his own. So here he is in the clear, scot-free, and he has a breakdown because he can't fucking handle it. He got what he wanted, but he doesn't have mommy anymore. So he's committed to an asylum, and at that moment, he takes over and becomes his mother as well, because he can't reconcile him to the fact that his mother is no longer there.
Now, I haven't seen the movie in a while. I mean, I remember it, obviously, because it's iconic as hell. But how old was Norman when he did this? Because the book never really specifies how old he was.
He was in his teens.
Was he in his teens? That's what I was thinking, but I just...
Mom's been gone a long time.
It's a wonderful...
I know it said that his mom had been dead like over 20 years when they're talking to the sheriff about when Sam and the sister Lila are speaking with the sheriff about this missing persons report. He's like, well, I know that there was nobody at the Norman estate. You know, I called and talked to Norman, and I know that Arbogast was lying because when he was up there, he said that he talked to the mother. Well, the mother's been dead for over 20 years. But it never really specifies also how old Norman is when this happened in the book. And I can't remember.
He was in his teens, and in the film adaptations of this, this is a wonderful film that explores his childhood when this all goes down, and it has Olivia Hussey plays Norma, and she's fantastic in it, and there's these really gross, like, it really illustrates the Oedipal complex. Like, they're rolling around, it's like, in the height of summer, it's so hot outside, and they're wrestling, and he gets a boner on her, and she flips the shit out and beats him up and shoves him in a closet and makes him wear a dress, and it's just...
Well,
Yes,
that's how you
because
make
that's
a
how
serial
you-
killer.
Well, now I know how to handle my son when he gets a boner.
So it's all very ham-handed
God.
display of 1960s psychology, and it's a beautiful thing. I
It's
love
terrifying,
That shit. I love
is what it
camp.
is.
I love noir. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen all the films, I recommend them all, and I recommend these books highly as well. The books don't have, like I said, the sequels to this book don't have anything to do with the film sequels, and they diverge wildly. The second one, he escapes from an insane asylum by dressing as a nurse, and he's going to Hollywood because they're making a film about it's fucking
But now, wait a
crazy.
minute. Didn't we also have a serial killer who escaped?
No, okay,
Did we not?
It sounds wildly like the premise for the Halloween film, but this Psycho 2 wasn't written until like the 80s, so it was after. And you know what's funny is that...
Oh, I guess he wasn't lying about that coincidence.
And another little tie-in that I think is interesting is that the character that is Marion Crane's fiance is named Sam Loomis, and who is... You know, Dr. Loomis. There's a There's a character in the second book that very much mimics Dr. He's like this doctor that's devoted to caring for Norman Bates, and he goes and like looking for him. It's nuts. You gotta read it.
I have
you
to
gotta
read that now.
it.
Has to happen.
The great thing about noir is that they're pulp. They're short books. It's pop fiction. They're not very long to read. It's not like a big Stephen King that you gotta I gotta read this in 4 days or whatever. Sit down and read it in like 4 hours.
Luckily, I was able to read Psycho in 4 days.
Lots of fun. So,
Yay.
Marion's sister Lila and Sam Loomis managed to track all this down. And Lila she's a wily,
Kinda. She's more of a free spirit than her sister is.
Yes. Well, she's younger, and she's motivated by the fact that she's terrified of what's happened to her sister. You know?
Yeah. Like, she seems like she's the only one. Like, Sam's like, well, let's just wait. Let's wait on Arbogast. You need food. You look hungry. And she's like, fuck you. Where's my sister? Like, I'm the only one who seems to actually give a damn about where my sister is. What's happened to my sister?
Yeah, I think Lila is the most fully developed female character in the book. She has a lot more going on than I want dick or I want to kill somebody. So she actually...
That's my life.
Yeah, I know. So Sam is like, hey, Lila, go get the sheriff because I figured this all out. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, I'm not going to get the fucking sheriff. I'm going to go up to this crazy-ass house.
Fuck you.
And I'm going to confront this old biddy.
Like, she kind of realized really early that Sam's not going to do shit. He has this very small town mentality. He's not going to do anything to make the waters ripple. He's going to try to keep everybody happy and not do anything that's out of place. And she's like, fuck you, bitch. I'm going to go to the fucking house because I want to know where my sister is.
He's very Andy Griffith. Well, let's just
wait till Arbogast gets back and then we'll see where we need to go from there.
I think we got this killer on lock, so
I think we know what's happened.
Get that sheriff for me, little girl.
And even like the sheriff calls up there and talks to Norman, and he's like, well, she said something about going to Chicago, so Arbogast had to have gone to Chicago looking for her, and he's just all, oh, well, if that's what they said, then yeah, that must be what happened. She must have went to Chicago. And her sister's like, fuck you, she doesn't know anybody in Chicago. My sister wouldn't have done that.
She would just totally bypass you and not...
Yeah, she's not going to do that.
So, yeah.
And his argument is, well, neither of us expected her to steal $40,000, so I don't think either of us really knew her as well as we said we did. And I mean, she admits, yeah, I would have never expected her to do that, but at the same time, I know my sister.
There's still logic to be applied.
Yeah.
So, Carlita, would you like to take us through the falling action that takes place in the cellar, which also in the feminine, the monstrous feminine, the cellar of the house also represents the womb. It's a very female structure.
We're always in the womb.
We're always in the womb. We're always in the womb.
Oh, when Norman's like, Mom, you got to go to the cellar.
Oh my God. Okay.
Go to the cellar.
Can I please?
Of course.
Oh my God.
Of course. I just want to talk about Ed Gein, so y'all go ahead.
Okay. After Arbogast is killed, he decides that he has to hide Mother away. So there is a fruit cellar in the basement of the house.
Fruit.
And this whole argument that he's having with his mother, she's like, no, you don't need to take me down there. You don't need to take me down there. And I think one of my favorite lines, and I know I'm not going to quote it right, was he says, do you know what would happen if they found you? If they found you, they would lock you up in an asylum. And she gets very calm and she says, well, I guess I wouldn't be alone there, would I? Something along those lines. And I mean, just chills. So he literally picks her up and carries her to this fruit cellar and hangs this Indian blanket over the door so that nobody will notice. And it obviously works because the sheriff comes and searches the fucking house and he doesn't find shit. So, because he's amazing.
It's in order.
He's great at his job.
I'm gonna go back to the diner and get some pie.
No need to check the basement.
No, we don't. Well, but see,
I got skeletons down there.
But see, I got the impression that the sheriff even checked the basement. Like he checked the house, he looked everywhere, he didn't see anything out of place. Because who just hangs an Indian blanket up in a basement?
Who indeed?
Who does that?
This is all fine.
Other than you, honey. Who does that? I just don't understand.
So Lila makes a grisly discovery in the basement. And of course, you all know what's happening. But it's not Mrs. Bates attacking her with a knife. She discovers the desiccated, mummified corpse of Mrs. Bates.
Oh my God.
And then,
hold on. You two talk, because this...
Rushing out from the shadows, Norman... Where does he find the fucking time? Because Sam Loomis hits him in the head with a wine bottle and he's passed out. But somehow the man finds time to wake up, scramble back to the house, gets his wig on, and he has makeup. He powders his face dead white.
And puts rouge on.
Wild spots of hot pink rouge on his face. And puts his granny dress on. And I'm wondering if it's a wig or if it's just like when her scalp finally desiccated and separated from the skull, if he just literally put her fucking hair on.
Probably just put her hair on.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, if we can have story time with Nan again, that would be amazing. So she's trying to find some place to hide. She figures if I can hide under the stairwell, if I can find something to cover me, then when he goes well enough in, I can run upstairs and lock him in.
It's like when you're a little kid and you're like, if I pull this blanket over me, the monsters aren't going to see me.
Okay. Lila saw the blanket pinned to the far wall. It was a big Indian blanket, ragged and old. She tugged at it, and the rotted cloth ripped free from the nails which held it in place. It came off the wall, off the door. The door. The blanket had concealed it completely, but there must be another room here. Probably an old-fashioned fruit cellar. So we go on a little ways. Lila opened the door of the fruit cellar. It was then that she screamed. She screamed when she saw the old woman lying there, the gaunt, gray-haired old woman whose brown, wrinkled face grinned up at her in an obscene greeting. "Mrs. Bates," Lila gasped. "Yes." But the voice wasn't coming from the sunken, leathery jaws. It came from behind her, from the top of the cellar stairs where the figure stood. And just to imagine being there, like you're seeing this body in front of you, but then you're hearing the voice of what's saying it's that body behind you.
So you think you're cracking up.
Yeah, you think you're losing your shit.
Yeah. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Oh, God. Lila turned to stare at the fat, shapeless figure, half concealed by the tight dress which had been pulled down incongruously to cover the garments beneath. She stared up at the shrouding shawl and at the white, painted, simpering face beneath it.
Excuse me.
She stared at the garishly reddened lips, watched them part in a convulsive grimace. "I am Norma Bates," said the high, shrill voice.
I like that when Norman is Norman, he puts on horror red lipstick.
Yes, it's amazing.
Mother would never wear that shade.
Maybe Mother was a whore.
In Norman's dreams, she does.
Yeah,
Mother
she
was
does.
a whore and she hated that
Yeah,
she was.
she does.
Yes. Duh.
Then there
Not
was
gonna
the
be
hand
hanged
coming
all the
out.
time.
The hand that held the knife, and the feet that were mincing down the stairs. And the feet were running, and Lila screamed again as Sam came down the stairs, and the knife came up quick as death. Sam grasped and twisted the hand that held it, twisted it from behind until the knife clattered to the floor. Lila closed her mouth, but the scream continued. It was the insane scream of an hysterical woman, and it came from the throat of Norman Bates.
So this book ends with a final twist, a twist and a twist and a twist, and I fucking swear to God, like
And it kills me.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
That's my favorite kind of twist. It's
best
an M. Night
part-
Shyamalan Ding Dong twist.
Norman Bates is committed to an asylum, and at that point, the mother personality is taken over altogether, and it insinuates that she is actually the protective one.
Now-
and that Norman was the one that was suicide, like
Now-
murder, suicide.
If I can interject.
Homicidal.
If I can interject here.
He was.
When you have someone with dissociative, oh my Lord, too much woodchuck.
DID.
DID, dissociative identity disorder. It is entirely possible, regardless of how many personalities they have within them, it is entirely possible, if it goes untreated long enough, one of those identities will take over the brain. They will start to control the brain. And in the case of Norman Bates, even in a fictional setting, it was Norma that finally took control of the body. That was the personality that was finally able to be allowed to take hold.
What is it called? Isn't there a term for the dominant? Is it just dominant personality?
Yeah, it's just a dominant personality.
There's several.
I know that there's a new term that they've come up with for it. I've kind of been out of the game for a little too long to know that, but I know that there is a new term they've come up.
My understanding, because I read all those like 80s books, like When Rabbit Howls and Sybil and The Three Faces of Eve, and those are all the kind of like pop fictionalized,
Yeah, Sybil's
fictionalized
a big one.
nonfiction. They're based on true stories of
Right.
people. The Minds of Billy Milligan.
Right.
The understanding that we have it's not exactly what it actually is, but dissociation is the key to it. And dissociation occurs across a vast array of different clusters and
Right, and that's, the newest movie, we brought up M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, and I'm not one of his largest fans. Please don't think that I am.
no.
Unbreakable was amazing, but his newest movie, Split, that touches on this.
That's based on The Minds of Billy Milligan.
It is,
isn't
and
it?
Split is an amazing film. It is incredible, and it actually, as someone, like I have a background in psychology, I have a degree in psychology, and as someone who has studied that and who continues to try to stay up to date, I'm not great at it, but I do what I can, it really kind of hit that nail on the head, that there is that instant split second where that personality can just change and it can take over, and it's insane, and that's kind of what this book struck me as.
I just feel like my understanding is that there is an awareness behind all of them. It's like a repressed memory in a way.
In some cases, it can be. In some cases, it is a repressed memory. And in some cases, it is a person reverting to how they were before trauma happened. A lot of cases you see like that do have some kind of trauma.
So Carla, was there actual trauma that Norman experienced, or was it just his mother being a bitch all the time?
I think Norman was always engrossed by his mother. I don't think there was a transition. I think she was always the controlling personality in his life. I think the same thing is true of Ed Gein. He was never Norman. He was Norma Jr.,
Now-
as his name implies.
No.
And same for Ed Gein. That's what I think.
She did not sexually abuse him. Did she physically abuse him?
I don't think, well, it depends on your definition of physical abuse. It seemed more emotional abuse to me. You know, if you think slapping him in the face every once in a while is physical abuse.
Which is underestimated, but emotional abuse should be taken as seriously
Emotional abuse can sometimes be as severe as physical abuse.
I think so.
I agree. I agree as well. So I guess that's the trauma underlying all of this for him. And I guess also his Oedipal complex that he just could not reconcile.
Right.
And Ed Gein was always the same way. Among the long list of scary things that they found when they finally raided his home.
Now, you said that you were going to prepare like 12 days of Ed Gein for us. Did you?
Well, you know, I don't have it, but I have a whole lot of it memorized.
Okay. So among the wonderful artifacts that law enforcement had to catalog in Ed Gein's home when they discovered his house of horrors.
Fingernails. That's pretty normal.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, you're like, oh, you're weird. Why are you keeping these women's fingernails? Whatever.
A fetish is a fetish.
Skulls on his bedposts.
That's kind of metal.
That's
Little
metal as fuck.
As long as you didn't get them yourself and they're real human skulls, which unfortunately they were in this case.
Yeah.
He was eating out of the tops of skulls. He'd fashion them into bowls.
Well, I mean, I've dreamt of eating out of a skull bowl all the time. Not a real human skull, but again, metal as fuck.
Entire head in a burlap sack.
That's a problem.
Skin on.
Skin on. He left the skin there. His other murder victim, he removed the skin, and I think I referenced it earlier, fashioned it into a lampshade.
Very nice.
There was a mysterious pair of lips.
Well, that's classy as fuck.
Nobody knew, no face missing the lips, just the lips.
And those lips went on to become the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Damn straight they did. They made something of themselves.
Well, Ed Gein had them attached to the drawstring on his window shade.
Oh, that's cute.
Don't really know what's up with that one.
Well, he probably was like, I don't know what to do with things now that I have them. How about here?
I mean, you're just desperate at that point.
Is it a head in a bag and a heart in a box?
Well, he's
head in
just
a
playing
bag, heart in
Snow
a
White
box.
there.
And a box of vulvas.
Oh, yeah, box of boxes.
Who doesn't have a box
He
of
had
vulvas at their
nine
house?
assorted, severed vaginas.
Why not?
Why
It's
not?
the vulva. The vagina's the inside part. Did he have the inside part attached?
I think he liked to think it was a vagina.
Yeah, he seems like the type.
Well, I mean,
I think,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
The good-looking part.
can't forget the nipple belt.
Nipple belt,
Well, I have one of those at home.
human skin trash can.
Didn't he have like a throne or something made out of like with femurs and such?
He had various furnishings and pieces of bones, projects in progress,
Yeah.
stuff he was still working on.
I never got to finish.
And I know in a previous episode we've debated, oh, which is creepier, the box of boxes or the nipple belt? But really, when you think about it, even though you said you don't think it's conclusive that he dressed up in it, I think it's conclusive that he dressed up in it. He had leggings made out of human skin.
Leggings.
And he fashioned a corset out of a lady's breasts and rib cage.
Oh, God.
Now, I don't know why you would make an outfit and not wear it.
Well, I don't either.
And he is petite, so. Okay.
If you've got the figure, flaunt it, honey.
So at this point, we're going to open the floor to any questions you may have.
Though that kind of frightens us at the same time.
So if anybody has any questions about the books, the films,
Just shout them out.
Ed Gein,
And if we don't know it,
what's
we'll
wrong with
bullshit our
us?
way through it.
What's wrong with us? That's a separate episode.
No, that's a whole, we need
That's
way more
every
time than this
episode.
for that.
That's every episode. Nobody wants to talk.
So we are available for free on Podbean, which you can download. It's compatible with Android or iOS. And
Yes.
and this episode will actually, we're going to edit this a lot.
Thank God.
No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna put this fucker up just as it is.
Oh, hell no.
Beautiful from start to finish,
Minus
isn't
the
it?
licensed music. That's the only problem I have.
I see my friends over there. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm just drunk enough to
Do
not
I see my friends
care.
over there? Let me lift up my hater bloggers. Hello.
Everybody in this room is our friend.
Your haters here.
So
No.
Damn.
I don't see them.
Damn. Do we have any haters here?
Woo! Yeah, we do. if you want
Like we don't know that.
We're well aware.
If you want to join our book club,
Which you do.
Follow us on Twitter or follow us on Instagram, Indifferently Depraved Book Club. Our next selection is most likely going to be the Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorites. It's part of my identity. It has changed my DNA.
But we're not going to play Ed Gein, and we're not going to play the Black Dahlia murder either, because it's all shitty.
No, God, fuck.
Oh, but that movie was amazing.
I hate the Black Dahlia. No, the film's okay. The Black
film was
Dahlia
all
murder,
right.
the music, no.
I was referring to the band.
Yeah, and I'm not into that. No, it's not good. Sorry,
Oh, I'm not
everybody.
cool
That's
enough
a big
to know
Black
what that
Dahlia
is,
murder fan
apparently.
out there.
Oh, yeah. Whoops.
Whoops.
Whoopsie.
Melanie's offended.
No, she's not.
Hashtag trigger.
Ben Burton would have been offended, but he didn't show up, so.
So, he's dead to us now. He's actually dead to all of you. We've killed him, and we put him in the swamp, in the back of a
Don't
Studebaker.
It was my mom.
And there's $40,000 in the glove
It
compartment.
was Thelma.
It was Thelma.
Thelma and Sue.
Thelma would shoot a bitch in the head with a nail gun in 5 seconds.
My mom.
And
Thelma
wouldn't
sounds like
give
my
us
spirit
a-
animal.
My mom would have just burned him in the trash pile that she continually has burning from June to September in the backyard.
My mom would just kill you with passive aggressiveness.
Ew, that's scarier
That's
than
the-
Ed Gein.
That's the worst
She
one.
is, yeah, she's the queen, and she taught me. It's amazing.
All right, so follow
So
us.
that's that.
Follow us online. Brush up on your Black Dahlia. James Elroy, one of my favorite authors. We're going to have that up soon, and work on your Oedipal complexes. And
Don't fuck your mom.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.